Kristen Oaks-White. Thank you for joining us for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, the only TV show bringing Louisiana farmers and consumers together every week. On our last show, we brought you the Unconventional Convention. The Louisiana Farm Bureau held its 98th annual convention mostly online with one in-person meeting of the new board of directors in Alexandria rather than the usual good times in New Orleans. Normally, there's a lot of song and dance to convention. Literally, youth talent contest as well as the Queen's contest brings a degree of pageantry to the normal business. Also absent this year were the commodity conferences that bring in the best experts in their respective fields. One thing that has happened, though, is the Young Farmer and Rancher Awards. Each year, the state's top young farmer and young farm woman are decided, as well as the Excellence in Agriculture Award. This year's Young Farmer and Rancher Achievement Award winner is Philip Tomlinson of East Carroll Parish. He and his wife Carrie farm 2,700 acres of grain in Lake Providence. But one crop they're also always growing is their 4 wonderful children, whom they hope one day will take up the family business. Mornings start very early on the Tomlinson family farm in Lake Providence. Check the chickens, feed the sheep, and harvest the corn crop for a sweet return. There's a certain art to picking sweet corn, as 6-year-old Weston Tomlinson points out.
You want it to be ready all the way to it.
It's a lesson he learned firsthand from his father, Philip.
The joy of it to me is having my kids out there in the sweet corn patch, because not only are they learning how to work hard, how to sweat, how to pick the big ears, don't pick the little ones, pick the big ones, but we have picked ear after ear after ear and taken them and delivered them to friends and family, and so they're actually getting to see that we are really feeding the world. We're doing our part to feed the world and our part to give to others.
Between feeding the world and a new baby sister, the Tomlinson children are learning that farm life requires a lot of hard work, but also reaps some sweet rewards.
We just decided to start selling eggs to make a little bit of money.
Because we can't eat 12 eggs a day, so.
They all get the money if they work and if they wash the eggs and do the whole thing. And we divide the money up, and 10% goes to their tithe, 10% goes in savings, and they can do whatever they want with the rest.
If these smiles are any indication, life is good here on the farm.
Yep.
It is a lifestyle that we love. We love that our children get to see that when you work hard, like there's fruit from that labor. And yes, there is inconsistency, but at the same time, there's a freedom with farming that we get to experience that if you were working a 9-to-5 tied to a desk all the time, that you wouldn't get to experience that.
In fact, it's the exact life that Philip says he's dreamed about for more than 30 years.
I mean, I'm living my dream, literally. I mean, I grew up on this farm as a kid and riding a 4-wheeler around, and I always wanted to farm. And it was what can I do, where can I go to school so that I can learn what I can to help me on the farm, but come back and farm.
Part of that dream means making this 4th-generation farm more efficient and profitable.
I saw the need that, we've got to change some things. If we're going to remain profitable going into the future, we've got to change some things. And so we moved to row fall irrigation. We've leveled almost 900 acres, and we leveled a lot of ground that wasn't previously leveled. And we put it on a fall to where now we can grow rice, corn, and soybeans. Now we irrigate a lot with polypipe. In farming, it's all about getting water on your crop, but getting it off is just as important or more important. The row fall irrigation is a lot more efficient. We use less water, we get it on faster, we get it off faster, and so therefore our yields have really gone up.
Managing this 2,700-acre crop in the field is important, but Philip says it's the time he puts in crunching numbers behind a desk that's crucial to the success of their operation.
Spreadsheets tracking everything from chemical costs to forward contracting crops, all our budgets, how much diesel we used last year, and all these things. It's not only to prepare a budget, but it's also to look back and say, all right, well, how did we perform last year? Where can we improve? And where can we be more efficient?
Philip is not only planning ahead for the next crop year, he's also building a better future for the next generation.
That's what it's all about for me. I said I'm living the dream, and I am living the dream, but there's always things that you want to add to your dream. And my dream would be for at least one of my kids to come back and farm. It wouldn't matter if it's my son Weston or any of my girls. If anybody wants to join this operation, they have got an open door, and we will make it work.
As winners of the 2020 Louisiana Young Farmer and Rancher Achievement Award, the Tomlinsons receive a $35,000 cash award from the Southern Farm Bureau Casualty Insurance Company, along with several other prizes. They will also represent Louisiana in the National Young Farmers and Ranchers Achievement Award competition at the American Farm Bureau Convention in San Diego in January of 2021. Jacob Ezel, a grain and cattle farmer in Madison Parish, is our next Achievement Award finalist. Managing this 2,000-acre operation takes a lot of work, but at the end of the day, it's his deep-seated passion for agriculture that fuels the success of this fifth-generation farm. On a steamy June morning, Jacob Ezel is walking the White Mile. It's the first of many he'll walk this season as they roll out this polypipe irrigation on his family farm in Madison Parish.
We usually put out 60 to 70 rolls a year.
To do the math, each roll is a quarter-mile long, so that equates to about 17 miles of polypipe. There's roughly 2,000 steps in a mile. Between placing pipe and punching holes, Ezel will clock at least 68,000 steps before this job is done. It's a hot and tedious task, but Ezel says irrigation is a crucial step in the success of this crop.
Polypipe is what allows us to have a crop on a dry, hot year. Used to you used galvanized pipe, 30-foot joints at a time, put them together, or PVC. Had gates on it, you had to individually turn the gates on. Polypipe made it a whole lot simpler, easier. It is monotonous and hot, but it's a lot better than it used to be, and a lot more economical.
Economics drive every decision on this 2,000-acre farm. That's why Ezel says he and his family are constantly searching for new ways to improve efficiency and productivity on their operation.
We're mostly irrigated now. That's changed in the last 2-3 years. We used to farm like it was 1970, up until about 5-6 years ago. We went from 8 row to 12 row. That sped up our operation, don't have to have as much labor. We got GPS where we used to have row markers. We're taking advantage of newer technologies for fertilize, variable rate, pulling soil samples, things like that, where used to we would just put it out there and hope for the best. But now we're taking a little more time, more money, and pays off in the end.
But progress doesn't stop at the turn row. He's also working in the pasture to grow a better herd of beef cattle.
We're not running so much of a commercial cow as to a more purebred F1 calves. We're thinking more toward a consumer basis versus sale barn, trying to get geared up to maybe sell fed out beef. More day-to-day people like us, they want local fresh stuff. I think they just now understanding that our beef don't come from Walmart or somewhere like that. And they're getting more interested in where it comes from. And I hope it continues to be like that.
From cattle and corn to cotton and soybeans, Ezel says family remains the core crop of this fifth-generation farm.
We all work together, help each other out. We all separate, but we help each other when we need to. It is not easy working with your family. If anybody says it is, they ain't never done it. We all have different ideas. We're all stubborn, but we all, at the end of the day, we all have the same desire and hope, and that is to keep this going and to help each other and to be successful at it.
While the road to success can often seem long and tiresome, Ezel says the journey is worth every step.
To farm, you have to be called to do it. That's something that you don't wake up one morning and decide, I think I'm gonna go try this. It don't work like that. There's something in your heart that pulls you to it. I was born in it. There's nothing else I'd rather do. I went to Tech, but while I was going to school, I knew that this was what I wanted to do. Tooth and nail, I'm gonna fight it to the bitter end. This is what I'm gonna do.
Finally, Brandon and Danielle Vale of Calcasieu Parish were also finalists this year. The couple farms 2,700 acres of rice and cattle on their farm just 20 miles north of the Gulf of Mexico. For the Vales, farming is a feast for the senses every day, taking joy in the job even when it's at its most difficult. It's cattle sorting day for Brandon and Danielle Vale, and if cowboy wisdom is true, working cattle together is the best form of marriage counseling.
It's just like working cows with anybody else. You know, you're on your own individual. And with me not growing up doing this my whole life, he's gotten more knowledge of it, and I'm just slowly learning. Cows are interesting creatures. You know, they don't go by the book.
She's learning cattle. Cattle all goes back to, if you learn what you have to do to make a move, you've got it beat. So she's getting really good with that.
Side by side, the Vales navigate the joys and the challenges of managing this 2,700-acre rice and cattle farm in Calcasieu Parish.
If I need to run a tractor, I'm there to run a tractor. I can run a bush hog, clip a pasture, working cattle. I'm there. I may not be the best at any of it, but I'm at least another warm body there to help.
I'm glad she loves it. I mean, it makes me really proud of her. And even the rest of my family, like my dad and my sisters, they're really proud of her for how much she's learned, how much she's picked up, and how much she does on her own with no one asking her at all. You'd be amazed how much of an impact she's had on our place.
It's great. I get to see him excited about growing his baby rice plants. He loves to tell you about it. He wants to show you, pick up a rice plant, cut it in half and show you. So just to see it growing, it's like anybody who grows their own garden. You plant a seed and now you have this zucchini that you can eat. It's the same thing with rice.
This farm lies 20 miles north of the Gulf of Mexico, where heavy soil and a coastal climate create a host of challenges for growing a variety of crops.
My dad had told me whenever I started planting rice, he said, look, two things work, rice and cattle. When I was in college, that's one thing they preached to us, diversification. That's the key to farming success. Well, so I tried, like I said, everything I could think of that I thought would grow down here. I'd research it. If it looked like it might work, I would try it. But I'm back to rice and cattle. Diversification works a lot of other places. In my little corner of the state, rice and cattle work. I mean, rice can take a lot of water. Cattle can get up and move if there's a storm surge or you get a 10-inch rain and everything you have is under 3 foot of water. And it's a challenge every day out here. I mean, whether you're sticking with stuff you know like rice and cattle, it's still a challenge. I mean, take this farm right here, for instance. It hadn't been planted in 7 years before I got here. It needed a whole lot of work. I spent a lot of time and money leisure leveling, building roads, clearing out old fence lines. It's a challenge, but I mean, at the end of the day, you can look and say, I did this. I took this is what I started from, and this is what I brought it to. Whether it's a crop you're putting in the ground or just fixing up a piece of ground. And I really, really enjoy that.
Both Brandon and Danielle say the challenges are worth the rewards that come with life on the farm.
You have to love it. You have to. I'll tell you, one of the oddest things, I love the smells. Whether it's fresh dirt or the way rice smells, or cutting rice or fresh cut hay, cows, it kind of charges you. Being that I've done it for so long, my family's done it for so long, I guess it's in my blood too, but I love it.
Having faith that you know that you were put here for a purpose to do it, and you need to continue to do it. Because there's nobody behind you to replace you. So we know the struggle, that there's not a whole lot there. So knowing that somebody needs to feed the world.
Congratulations to all of this year's finalists and winners. After meeting such an impressive group of young farmers, I can assure you that the future of Louisiana agriculture is in great hands. Still to come on Twila, Jennifer Finley serves up a delicious dish featuring one of Louisiana's staple crops in this week's Field to Feast. Stay with us.
I'm a farmer.
I am a farm wife.
I am a cowboy.
I am a grass farmer.
I'm a businesswoman.
I'm a conservationist.
I am an advocate.
I am a voice for Louisiana farmers.
I'm always learning.
I'm a husband.
I'm a mom.
I am a dad.
I'm a granddad.
I am a consumer.
I grow the food that feeds your family, and I'm proud of it. I am Farm Bureau.
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 We are Farm Bureau.
I now hope they're fighting today.
I hope they are. Put a Dorito right here.
I got a fish, I got a fish.
Find your place in the country and the lender who can get you there. Find Louisiana Land Bank. Financing for country homes, recreational property, farms and ranches, and agribusiness.
It's a well-known fact that here in Louisiana, sugarcane is more than just a crop. It's a way of life. It creates more than 16,000 jobs across the state and an additional $3 billion boost to our state's economy. And Louisiana's cane families always give back to the communities where we live, work, and play. Louisiana sugarcane, making life sweeter, naturally.
Sugarcane, sweet sugarcane.
Welcome to Field to Feast, where we profile Louisiana and its local ingredients. This morning, we're outside of Opelousas at James Farms, where we're going to talk rice.
Field to Feast with Jennifer Finley is brought to you by the Louisiana Crawfish Promotion and Research Board, Louisiana Crawfish, ask before you eat, and by the Louisiana Beef Industry Council, beef is what's for dinner, and by the Louisiana Rice Promotion Board, think rice.
So we're at James Farms in Prairie Ronde, Louisiana. We started farming here in 1980. The concept originally was to just do crawfish, and then we started planting rice to feed the crawfish. Rolando wanted to get serious about the rice business, and so he learned everything he could and started planting seriously and has been successful.
Rolando Sanchez has been a member of this family for almost 40 years when he met Beth James' father over in Mexico. He then moved he and his family here outside of Opelousas to work the farm at Prairie Ronde. He was instrumental in helping Beth to build the mill.
The prices that we get farmers for the rice that comes out from the fields, sometimes really low. So we're trying to increase the price by milling it, and hopefully people will like it and buy our rice that we produce in this farm. So that's the idea, to have the mill over here at the farm. So as soon as we harvest the rice, we can pass it to the mill, put it in the bag, and send it to the market to see if people will buy it.
What makes us very unique is it's a single variety. A lot of the times, people buy from different farmers and they mix the varieties in the bins and when they mill it. And so some rice cooks faster than others. And ours is freshly milled. And so it cooks a little bit faster, period, but it cooks evenly. And so that's what makes it different, in my opinion. Some people say it has a nuttier taste. Other people say it's aromatic. I just think it tastes better.
Can you talk to me about how the two of you got together?
My mother went to San Miguel de Allende on a group trip with some girls from Academy of the Sacred Heart in Grand Coteau. She really liked it there, and my father used to fly his own airplanes. He flew down there and picked her up. They weren't afraid of anything. They just took off in an airplane.
Right.
I used to think, how do they know where the fuel is? But,
where do you stop?
Anyway, so the next year they rented a house, and Rolando's mother managed the house. And so Rolando and all of his siblings lived on the property. And so they met them at that point. Orlando manages everything for the farm. I mean, he's the guy.
Since I was little, I used to help my dad back in Mexico. And I'm the only one from my family that likes that. Used to go to the farm. For some reason, it stayed in my mind that I wanted to do that. When my dad passed away, I was the one in charge. I think I was 14 years old. I was in charge of the very, very little acres, you know, but I was in charge to do the work. And then there came the opportunity to come work over here in a farm, a real farm, and that's what I was looking for, you know, and I just like it to be working out here. And I have been here for 30 years, so I guess that tells you that I like it.
Are you proud of this operation? Are you happy with your life?
I'm really proud of this. There's a quietness to being out here, and sometimes you just need that in life. But it's also very rewarding because you put seed in the ground, it comes up miraculously, you know, if you have a good year. And, and then, you know, you actually produce something. So it's very gratifying.
Yes, it's hard work pays off.
Yes.
Well, we're going to take some of this fabulous Prairie Run rice back to Chef Tori McPhail, and he's going to make us some fabulous dishes with this Louisiana rice.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Landowners are minding the Louisiana forest for our grandchildren. A place for wildlife, recreation, lumber for homes. It's the right thing to do. Forestry, covering half our state, all of our hearts.
Louisiana oysters, salty, sweet, and delicious. But have you ever thought about what happens to all those oyster shells? Most of them end up in trash cans and landfills. The Coalition to Restore Coastal Louisiana is changing this with its oyster shell recycling program. And you can help by visiting these participating restaurants. It's a simple and delicious way to restore our coast. The shells will then be used to sustain and rebuild oyster reefs. Remember, once you shuck them, don't just chuck them.
Before I got active in Farm Bureau at the level that I'm at now, I often felt like I was isolated on the farm. It was just me against the world. Now, with my Farm Bureau family, I got somebody going against the world with me. I am Farm Bureau.
We're in New Orleans at Chef Tori McPhail's house, Chef Tori from Commander's Palace, and today we're going to be working with Louisiana rice. So what are we going to be cooking today, Chef?
Well, we've got great dishes for you today. First and foremost, let's concentrate on the main ingredient. So we're going to do the best darn pot of rice that anybody knows how to make.
Love it.
We will pop in some olive oil.
Any kind?
Yeah, it's perfect. So I'm going to add just a little bit of garlic, not a lot, and I'll tell you why. So we're going to add some shallots and some bay leaves, and we're trying to leave this maybe a little more neutral. You want to help me with some pepper?
Yes. Oh, cool. Look at
Yeah.
This is so fun.
All right.
Just round and round?
Yeah, round and round you go. And we're going to add a little salt.
Awesome.
And this is called seasoning as you go. We call this kind of layering the flavors,
Yes.
right? And we just want this to be a nice sweat. Okay, we don't want to caramelize it too much because we're going to use this in different parts of your day. You know,
It's my favorite smell in the world.
Yeah, it's beautiful. So people just don't want a ton of like caramelized garlic when you eat your breakfast, okay? Unless you're having something real rich like that.
I really feel like I should just...
Yeah. It's a Louisiana cologne. Is that what it is?
I actually put some on.
Let's grab your rice.
Okay.
right? Yep, go ahead. And so what we want to try to do is coat every kernel with some of that olive oil, the garlic, a little bit of that shallots. Let's get some cold tap water.
Okay.
And you had 1 cup of rice, so now we're going to do 2 cups of cold water, so 2 to 1 ratio. We're going to want to bring this up to a simmer.
Okay.
And then once it's at a simmer, we're going to push it to the back of the stove, and then we're going to let that steam the rest of the way. Look at the back of the packages. This one says it takes about 15 minutes. And so we'll have a nice tight fitting lid so we don't evaporate all the water. And then we'll get to the next part of our recipe.
The beautiful Prairie Ron rice.
Yep.
That we got from our local farmer, Beth James, which
gorgeous.
you know her husband from the Radiators.
Yeah, Dave Malone is such a great guy. And I'll tell you, I love the Radiators. You know, aside from the Rolling Stones, it is the longest continuing touring rock band in American history.
Oh, that's right up your alley.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm
right,
sure you
huh?
have backstage passes for...
To Tipitina's, come on. We are gonna flavor the rice now.
Okay.
Another teaspoon of oil, so just not a tremendous amount.
Okay, less than before.
Now we're gonna add the rest of our garlic. You need some basics of flavor when you start to cook down a rice recipe. Here in Louisiana, we know it is Holy Trinity, or Creole Trinity, onion, celery, green bell pepper. Now this one, we're kind of swing it to the islands a little bit. So garlic, shallot, ginger.
Oh, okay.
So we're gonna add these together.
It's very Radiators of you.
You gotta get those Tipitina's things in there,
To
right?
circle back.
That's it. So here we're gonna add a little bit of sweet potato.
Sweet potatoes, yes. Okay. I feel like I've already eaten and I have only tasted.
But now we're gonna add some tasso. Okay, so tasso is that cured Cajun ham, and you can use any kind of part of the pig you want. So it only goes for a couple minutes.
Okay.
And maybe you want to grab your rosé all day.
Oh,
spatula
yes,
there.
I did. Or which one?
Now that our mirepoix, or our basic flavors are in, I want you to add maybe just about...
With or without the bay leaf. Easy to take out.
Yeah.
For good luck.
Yeah.
I'll put them in there.
I think that's good. I think people make a mistake when they have the rice on the stove and they don't have the shrimp ready and they don't have all the rest of the ingredients ready.
Yes.
Because at this point, it's a ticking time bomb and it starts to overcook.
Right.
So once we fold it together, after this, we're not going to touch it again.
Okay. It's dynamite.
Yeah. You get salt, you get spice, you get a little bit of sweetness from the vegetables.
It's 100% dynamite.
It's great.
Oh, that is so good. Everybody can do this.
I mean, good Louisiana rice. It's just good eating.
Thanks, Chef.
You got it, Jen.
And we'll see you next time on Field to Feast. Now it's time to eat.
Field to Feast with Jennifer Finley was brought to you by the Louisiana Crawfish Promotion and Research Board, Louisiana Crawfish, ask before you eat, and by the Louisiana Beef Industry Council, beef, it's what's for dinner, and by the Louisiana Rice Promotion Board, think rice.
Jennifer, that truly looks delicious, and I'm starving because I haven't eaten, so I can't wait to get in the kitchen and make that. Well, that does it for this edition of Twila. Be sure to join us next week when Jennifer Finley takes us to waterproof Louisiana, where one peach farmer has been at it for 60 years. Until then, you can watch all of our stories online at twilatv.org, and be sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. For all of us here at Twila, thanks for joining us. We hope to see you again right here next week.